Hey there, this is Akshat Madan and welcome back to a new series. And in this part, we will be creating a pie chart. So this video is a part of the Flutter graph series in which we are going to create four kinds of charts in Flutter. And the previous part, in the first part, we saw that how we can create Cartesian charts. And if you did not watch, you missed a very important thing because by just changing this waterfall to line, you can just change the type of the chart, right? So this is a line chart. If I just make it area, then this will be an area chart. If I just make it a bar, then this will be a bar chart, right? So I have taught everything in the previous part. If you have not watched, please watch it. And for just a recap, we are using this Synfusion Flutter chart series, and my repository is also available on my GitHub page, and you can just access this repository if you want the code reference, right? So in this part 2, we will be creating a simple pie chart, right? So why are we learning this Flutter graph series? Because sometimes you need to visualize your data. Let's take an example of an expense tracker. So in that you have to show or visualize the data to the user, right? So in the widgets folder, I'm going to create one more file called pie chart.dart, and let's create a stateful widget. So first of all, let's import material.dart. Let's create a stateful widget called pie chart widget. So this pie chart is not a kind of chart, it's a type of chart. And this type comes under the radial charts. And why are we learning radial charts differently and why are we learning pie chart differently? Because there is a little bit of difference. That's why I've created two parts of this series, pie chart and radial charts. Right, so in this pie chart, let's call it pie chart widget. And the same way I'm going to create a simple scaffold or just creating, instead of just creating, let me just go to Cartesian chart and let me just copy this this widget, complete widget, till scaffold, control C and control V. Perfect. So let me just import Cartesian chart library, and let me just delete this SF Cartesian chart. And for this thing, in the previous part we create sales data. So in this part we will be creating pie data, right? So after this class, let's create a simple class, right? So let's call it pie data, and in this class it is going to take two things, x data, y data. So simple final, and it will be num type, final number, y data, right? And my x can be string. Over here in the previous part I just did a simple mistake, so over here we can take string x data. Let's create a simple constructor. Perfect. So this is a simple class which is going to help me to map the x values and y values. And it's very much important that you have watched the first part because I just took the basics in that. And in this class, I'm going to create a list. So I'm going to use this list which I'm creating now to show the values, right? Or to visualize the values. So I'm going to create a simple list which will be of type pie data. Let's call this list as chart data, then list, semicolon. So in this list, I'm going to create pie data values, which takes y data and the x data. So in the y, I'm going to pass, let's say 90,000. In the x data, let's take my name. So let's assume that this will be number. This is a sales data only. So let's take example that Akshit is an employee in a company and he made the sales of 90,000, right? So let's take one more example and let's take the last example. So let's take it 20,000 and let's make this one as 50,000. So let's take this as Aditya and let's take this one as Karan. Let me just save it. And in this child, in the previous part we were writing SF Cartesian chart, but now we will be writing SF circular chart because pie data comes under, pie chart comes under circular charts. So SF circular chart, and in this SF circular chart I'm going to define a background color or palette or title or legend or series, but most important thing is series. So let's take a series which takes a list, and in this list we can define the pi series, right? So let's take pi series. Sorry, not like this. Pi series, and this pi series will be mapping the data from pi data, comma string, because my x is a string now, right? So in this, we can define many things. So the most important thing is x value mapper and y value mapper. So let's take that thing first. So x value mapper. So this will map my values from pi data, comma and underscore, then an arrow, and this will be data dot x data. Copy it, paste it, y value mapper, y data. If I just save it, and in the main dart, instead of returning Cartesian chart widget, I'll be returning pie chart widget. Okay, I'm not able to see anything. Let's see why. Reducing the number. If I just refresh the app, so we are not able to see anything. Why? Because I did a very simple mistake. I did not provide the data source. Right. So let's provide data source as this chart data. Paste it. Chart data. Save it. And I can see a simple animation with my pie chart. Now let's try to make it a little beautiful. But yes, let's make it beautiful. So the things which we can provide is explode. So explode is going to, let me just show you only, then you will understand. Explode will be true. And you also need to provide the explode index, like which index you want to explode. So I will write as explode index as 0. So you can see that this index, why this index? Because this index was at index 0. So this is a little exploded from the main chart, right? So if I just make it 1, that means index 1, then this is exploded. If I just make it index 2, then this will be exploded, right? And you can also write explode all as true. So each and every part will be exploded. Let's save it. You can see like this, but it is not looking good. So if I will just remove this explode all, and I will write explode index as 1. Now I can also manipulate the radius. So let's write radius, and the string you have to provide the radius. So I'm just providing 100. Now you can also manipulate the radius of this pie chart. So if I just write radius, and in this radius you can provide a string, and in the string you can write the radius as 100, and if I just save it, you can see that the radius is now smaller, right? So you can also give it a stroke. You can give this pie chart elements a simple stroke. So if I just write stroke width, and to this stroke width you can just write a simple int, and you can give it a stroke color also. So let's give it colors dot white. Let's save it. It's like this, but it is not at all good, right? So I can just remove these things. I just wanted to show you that you can provide a stroke. Let me just save it. Yes, perfect. Now you can give your own colors also, right? So what I'm going to do is in this palette, in this SF circular chart, right? So in this SF circular chart, you can define a parameter called palette, and to this palette you can define colors dot red, then colors dot green, then colors dot blue. So we have three elements, that's why I'm defining only three palette colors. And let's now save it. So you can see that the colors are now changed. Perfect. So now you can give it they give this chart a simple title and a legend. So let's give chart title, then a text, and in this text you have to write simple string as sales data. Now let's provide a legend also. To this legend you have to write legend and write is visible as true. Let's save it. So you can see that simple legend is over here, red is for Akshit, green is for Aditya, blue is for Karan, and the title is there, right? So you can also manipulate the height of this container, and let's now save it. So you can see that now this pie chart is in the first 300 pixels of my body. Perfect, right? So now what I want is I want to show the labels in this pie chart elements also. So for that thing, you have to come in this py series and you have to provide a parameter called enable smart labels. Enable smart labels as true. And one more thing that you have to do is data label settings. Data label settings, then data label settings. And in this, you have to write is visible as true, and you can give a text style that I will do it, but now let's just save it. You can see that the values are visible over here. Perfect, right? And if I just remove this enable smart labels, now let's see what happens. Nothing. So I think that data label settings is only enough. So you can just provide it some more parameters called text style, and you can change the style of this text if you want, but I think it's okay for now. And one more thing that I want to show you, that you can also provide a simple background color. So let's call colors dot black, and let's see if this color changes to black. So this will be small o, and if I just save it, you can see that the background color is changed to black. So like this you can manipulate anything and you can play with the parameters, and you can draw as much beautiful graph as you want, right? So I hope you like this video. In the next part we will be covering the radial charts, which is something like SF circular charts only, and it is a part of SF circular chart, no doubt, and we will be covering that. So till next content, keep coding, keep innovating, and thanks a lot.